What's up, Internet? Cory here, Collecting with Cory. Today we're going to talk about this little magazine that many of you probably have never even heard of, and this is not the same, line of magazines that released over in the UK, the PlayStation Max magazine. This is PS Max from Imagine Publishing. I don't know that much about this, other than I believe this is the only issue that came out in fall/winter of 1999. And it does bear a striking resemblance to another PlayStation magazine that was coming out around the same time. PSM, aka my favorite PlayStation magazine / my favorite video game magazine, retro magazine, whatever you want to call it. So I figured it'd be interesting for the people that have no clue that this exists, take a look at what they were covering and what they were trying to do, which might have been a little bit too much. So of course on here, one thing that I think is interesting about magazines in this age, Nintendo Power was constantly putting extras in their magazines, which is awesome. One thing that PlayStation branded magazines, at least, were doing, if it was official PlayStation magazine, they had their demo discs, which were really cool. PSM had the lid sticker for the PlayStation, which I know I had on my PlayStation. I know of a few people that have had those on their PlayStation. Unfortunately, you never see them like that in the wild anymore. That'd be really cool to find a PlayStation that had that sticker on it. This one advertises memory card stickers, which honestly is one of my main reasons for picking this up, because I always think that's really interesting. PlayStation memory cards with only 15 slots on them, you did need a decent amount, and it was always nice being able to somewhat differentiate between which saves were on which memory cards, so having stickers on them was really helpful. But what we're here to do is take a look at this magazine. Hot PlayStation games you've got to have. Crash Racing. I almost said Crash Team Racing, but it doesn't have that yet. Ape Escape, Spyro 2, they rock. 20 pages of codes. PlayStation 2, check out the first games here. And then they review and rate Tomb Raider 4, WCW Mayhem, Croc 2, Tarzan, NFL Blitz 2000, Jammer Lammy, and Street Fighter Alpha 3, and tons more. And of course, you got basically every PlayStation branded character that I just mentioned on the cover here. So you got first page Ape Escape ad. I don't remember that one too much. And then here, intros. Talk about doing too much. Some magazines like to have a mascot, something to differentiate themselves. They decided to go with not one, not two, but, well, it says 5 here. Like, we have 5 different characters here, the PS Max team. But there's actually more than that will be introduced on a later page. We got Max. This guy is nutso for PlayStation games. His dream is to one day create his very own games magazine. Josh, Max's best friend and big-time sports gamer, aka we throw him all the stuff that no one wants to review. Candy, another one of Max's game-playing pals who loves RPGs. Chimmers, Max's pet monkey who loves soda pop. Professor Maykall, Candy's dad, who is letting Max use his equipment to make his magazine. So that's what this is. So this magazine has a story, I guess, aside from needing to be hip with the Z's everywhere. Reviews, contents, hot games, features, comics with an X. Yeah. PlayStation Max Buyer's Guide. So it looks like they start with the reviews up front, which is, in my opinion, relatively uncommon. Their grading scale: A, wow, what a masterpiece, get out there and grab a copy now. B, a really good game. This one you'll spend hours playing, so go check it out. C, a dead-on average game. It's fun, but nothing special, worth a quick look. D, it could be worse, but it's still plenty bad for you to stay away from. And F, a real loser game. Don't waste time with this one. It's total piece of junk, worthless. And then, like I said before, we're up to 7 reviewers now, because we have Binary, a robot, and Bargo, some sort of monster guy, which you can see here. Ape Escape, a goofy but seriously good platform game. This got an A. Ballistic, got a B. Bloody Roar 2, this one somehow only got a B. I really like that one. Bomberman Race. Bomberman Race. Did I know this existed? Is this game incredibly rare? Did it release? That's kind of blowing my mind. I don't remember. I remember possibly playing something like this on a demo disc. Maybe a PlayStation Underground demo disc, but I don't remember actually playing that game. I'm gonna have to look into that. Let me know in the comments below if I'm just crazy. Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, B. Centipede, C. Blah, blah, blah. Then Chocobo Racing. Of course this game got a C because it wasn't that great. Actually, they came out with a new Chocobo Racing game, Chocobo GX, that I don't remember if it got a physical release here. I know I skipped on it right now, but maybe I'll pick it up eventually. Trick and Snowboarder. Never heard of that one. Crash Team Racing. It's funny that they must have shortened it on the cover for space. That one got an A+. Croc 2, B. Final Fantasy VIII, B+. And all they give it is a little column, really. Unfortunately, there seems to be way too many random fights. This is a common complaint of RPG enthusiasts. I don't really know if that's true about Final Fantasy VIII. It's not really one that springs to mind. Oh man, I was wondering if I'd get to talk about this game today, because I think about this game a lot more than I should. Guardians Crusade. Knight and Baby are a winning combination. The previously mentioned magazine I would talk about, PlayStation Magazine, they used to report on this game back before it was coming to the States, and it was called Knight and Baby. So every time that I hear about this as Guardians Crusade, in my head I think, oh, Knight and Baby, cool. Wow, they really pack a lot of reviews into this. Got an A- for Guardians Crusade. So they believe that Guardians Crusade is better than Final Fantasy VIII. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with that. I would have to defer, honestly. Lunar Silver Star Story, complete. A really great RPG if you like the old style. A. And then Monster Rancher 2. Got a B+. NFL Blitz, Street Fighter Alpha 3. I was going to say, if this didn't get an A+, they're crazy. Spyro 2, A. Jammerlammy, B+. Here we go. Past the reviews, we're on to the features. What's up with the PlayStation 2? Now, mind you, this is coming out winter 1999. Fall-winter 1999, so before the PS2's launch, obviously. AKA when the PlayStation magazines were still really, really good, in my opinion. Once they switched to PS2, they kind of fell off a bit. It became so much about, like, oh, what could the PlayStation 2 do? And, like, I just wasn't as interested. Like, I was a PS1 gamer back then, and PS2 kind of marked the launch of me getting more into collectible card games like Magic the Gathering. So I don't know, I just think of like the downturn in video game magazines around the time the PlayStation 2 came out. So you got Dark Cloud, Gran Turismo 2000, The Bouncer. This game was so disappointing for me. Street Fighter EX3, Tekken Tag Tournament, that's a banger of a game. Tekken, one of my first rentals for the PlayStation 2 when I got mine, and I played it for less than 30 minutes. Armored Core 2, one of the first games I bought for the system. DailyRadar.com, I wonder if that still exists. Probably not. It's probably a redirect. Alright, we have a comic. Is this a long-ass comic? This is a long-ass comic. I was going to read it, but I don't want to read this ridiculously long comic. To find out how this mag came to be, let's check in with the PS Max team. I guess if you guys want to pause, you can read it for yourself. But I don't really want to read all this aloud. Oh my god, what the hell is going on here? I will say, I do wonder who the artist is for this. Maybe it says somewhere. Because I feel like they're almost directly biting the style that they had for the PlayStation Magazine cover arts. PSM Magazine, I should say. It's very, very similar. Oh, is this like half the fucking issue? Jesus. Oh, we're out of it. Thank you. So now we're back with them reintroducing themselves every single time they come up. Shimmers, eek, I like games with apes in them. I also like bananas. I really don't like bugs that get stuck in my fur. Alright, so he's really into Ape Escape, obviously. But they have Candy reviewing it by the looks of it. So we got Ape Escape, they got a full two-page spread here. Very cool. The DualShock, such a big thing to release. Ape Escape being the flagship game for that too. They have this both in the previews and in the review section. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete. Cool Borders 4. They were pumping out those Cool Borders game if they're on the 4. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of overlap. Like, here's some more stuff on that game that we reviewed earlier in the the magazine. Yep, Crash Team Racing, another repeat. Pac-Man World 20th Anniversary. I think they're coming out with a new Pac-Man World, or maybe another remake of a Pac-Man World. Croc 2. Final Fantasy VIII. For some reason they have Bargo seemingly reviewing this, despite the fact that they mentioned earlier in their magazine that he is there for the monster games. I'm assuming like survival horror, I don't know. Guardians Crusade. Honestly, if you have a PlayStation 1 and you are interested in what I remember to be a pretty quick RPG, I didn't finish it, but I got a decent ways through. It was a rental for me back in the day. I own it now. But I absolutely had a blast with this game. It's an RPG where you only really ever get two characters in your party, so you have to be prepared for that. Some people are always looking for oh, we got options, got a whole lot of playable characters. This isn't that. This is basically exactly what it sounds like. Knight and Baby, which is basically a little baby dragon type thing that looks more like a pig, from what I remember. I remember being maybe 10 hours in, and I was probably over halfway done from what I would imagine. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, classic. See, you have people that are supposed to be covering specific things, and then you're just nah, let's have Max, who doesn't care for sport, I don't know. They have a specific sports guy, but they have, people that aren't him covering the games. Not that it matters. I imagine these are all just, I don't know. I understand with Sushi X, who was Game Pro? I believe he was from Game Pro. He was one of the reviewers and editors and whatever. It was like a revolving chair. It was never the same person. every time. It's not like, oh, hi, I'm Sushi X. It's just like, no, I've written for Sushi X kind of thing. So it might be something like that. Monster Rancher 2. Oh, because they have Jurassic Park and Monster Rancher. He's the monster guy, I guess. RC Stunt Copter. I will say, not a lot of ads in this. Some of the things that are interesting to really look at in retro video game magazines is the ads that they have in them. And this one doesn't have much, aside from, like, the very first couple pages. They really get into it. Usually you have, like, an ad every couple pages. WCW Mayhem gets 2 pages here. Street Fighter Alpha 3, absolutely amazing game. And I didn't even play it the correct way. I used to play this as a substitute for Dragon Ball Z. Because Dragon Ball Z didn't have... I feel like I'm like overlapping videos. I feel like I'm telling the same story over and over again, because I know I've recorded this for a different video. But absolutely love this game. Used to put the hyper fighting, I think was the option, all the way up to max. So everybody was moving super, super fast, and it would be like, hey, it's like Dragon Ball Z. Space Invaders, and here, this is what I would consider the main attraction of the magazine. Not exactly the best assortment of memory card stickers, because you got all the characters that are from earlier, but But then you have something interesting. You have 2 for sports, 2 for RPGs, fighting, action, racing, and then you could fill in the blanks on these. So you could actually like customize, like, hey, this is my RPG card 1. This has all the Final Fantasies on it. This one has Guardian Crusade, you know, stuff like that. So it'd be nice like that. I always like the idea of these. Then you have specific game ones too for the other games covered in this issue, and you also have the end labels for them too. So really cool feature. Honestly, if this magazine didn't have these, I probably would be getting rid of it, because obviously the contents of it are kind of lackluster. So we have a third-party joysticks here, Joytech USA Full Metal Jacket. I've seen some of these memory cards. I never see these controllers. Not that I'm complaining. Spyro 2. Definitely a series I never got into. R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. As a young boy growing up in that era, definitely loved all the marketing for this game, but never really got into it. Was more into Gran Turismo 2. Tomb Raider, The Last Revelation, Sled Storm, Jammer Lammy. This one I never played back in the day because I don't know if it was like input delay on my TV or whatever, but I was always ridiculously bad at Parappa the Rapper. Whether it was the actual game when I got it as an adult for my collection, which I got rid of because I still suck at it, or on the demo. Like, I just can't get past the first stage, and I swear I'm doing it right. I swear I'm doing it right. Everything looks like it matches up. And then it's just like, no, you're rapping bad. Horrible. Then you got codes. Binaries, codes. Gotta have the Z in there. Anything interesting in here? And they have this little... I'm so cute, I make myself sick. Huh. Rising Zan. Not a whole lot of interesting codes here. One thing that would be interesting, and I used to love this from the Tips and Tricks magazines, and they don't have it here, of course. The Monster Rancher lists. Because Monster Rancher used to use CDs, like music CDs, to get monsters for your game. So when you'd get old Tips and Tricks magazines, you would come across like a big section that just has a whole list of like music CDs and like what monster corresponds to it. And of course, I always had CDs that nothing specifically cool would come out of, because that's how it would work out. Yeah, so how many people would have subscribe to PlayStation Max? Let me know in the comments below. Obviously, well, from what I could tell at least, they didn't get a second issue. So that's unfortunate for them. It looks like it would have had, if this is actually the second issue, some more stuff about Spyro 2, and they had Crash on the cover. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Guilty Gear. That's a really cool game, first mentioned here. Extra hard difficulty level. Jesus. Who would put a code in like that? Siphon filter. See, I feel like this magazine gave us like the same 10 games to talk about over and over and over again. But in the code section, there's a whole bunch of games that it would have been interesting seeing covered. But I guess these games have been out and thus aren't interesting back then. But as a, someone looking back into this with the perspective of like, this is a retro video game magazine, it would have been nice to have a little bit more variety in this one. Contender. I made the mistake of buying this game. I think I'd played, what's it called? Ready to Rumble on like a Dreamcast kiosk. And I was just like, oh man, it'd be really fun to play a boxing game. Not so much in the Contender. Not that great. Irritating stick. And then it ends out with the creation of this magazine. Unfortunately for them, it was apparently the end. And a GameStop with a .com. Babbage's and software, etc. And Kingsley's Adventure from Psygnosis on the back. That game you don't see very often. So, what did you think about PlayStation Max? Would you have liked to see more of this? Would you like to see more episodes like this that have possibly more interesting magazines to talk about? Like PlayStation Magazine, or more specifically stuff like Game Fan. Game Fan was always interesting because I feel like they had a lot more on upcoming games. In a lot of cases, you didn't get all those games that they would report on, so there'd be issues where they'd be talking about RPGs that just were never localized. So, I don't know. I feel like this is a magazine that played it a little too safe and got a little bit too much into its own lore, and ended up probably not getting a second issue. But yeah,